Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Bit of a different setting for this video. I'm actually driving to my five-a-side football, six-a-side, sorry. We used to do five-a-side, but mastered that and went to sixes. Yeah, so a bit of a different video. Should have a bit of a longer drive, so maybe get a couple of videos out of this, hopefully. But anyway, enough on that. Welcome to the channel for everyone new here. If you don't know, my name's Lewis. And today we're going to go through kind of like a part 2 of earlier. So I started talking about the weekend action and kind of got too carried away with the Carabao Cup game, even though it was a massive game and a lot of history in that game, you know. So I'm going to talk about the rest of the action over the weekend. So I briefly touched on the Arsenal-Chelsea game, so I won't go too much into that. And then the other game I really want to talk about was the Spurs game, Spurs-Fulham. So obviously I spoke about United and Leicester, which was also yesterday. Big result for United there, even if it was Leicester. But on the other flip side of that, for Spurs, on the end of a bad result against Fulham, really, which I did actually think coming into it would happen. I keep mentioning this particular video that I mean to do. I did that result. I actually put 2-1 for them originally for my own predictions. I just didn't fancy Spurs. I don't fancy Spurs going away to any team, really. I just think when they go away from home, they're too defensively open. I know they've been better defensively lately, but they're still so weak at the back, and their game plan is just not suited to away football. When they're at home, it's like fun and entertaining. When they're away from home, and it's not in their own backyard, the plan just doesn't work, I feel like. And Fulham probably should have had more in that game. I thought they took the goals really well. Sesson Young's goal was class. Fair play to him, you know, getting a goal against his former team. And yeah, it does spell. People thought when Ange gets his players back, this is what he kept saying: when you get the players back, they'll be fine. You know, they'll recover. They'll be fine. It's not happening. It's not going to happen, I don't think. Maybe it's me being an Arsenal fan and I'm just automatically a bit more negative towards Spurs. But I just don't see it happening for them. They're just... I want to do a video on Ange and just break down what's happening over there, because it just feels like he makes the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And he pulls the same excuses out. And he's got a lot of excuses for the injuries for a lot of the season, I get that. But people didn't really excuse Ten Hag last season for injuries, and he finished, what, 8th, I think? So, if you're 15th, you don't get that much of an excuse. And especially, just a lot of it stems from the way they're playing football, which a lot of people admire. And when he first came through, it actually, like, I was saying fair play, you know what, he's playing entertaining football. And I actually like Ange as like a manager, his values and everything. I thought he was spot on last season when, obviously I'm going to say this as an Arsenal fan, when Spurs should have been going for the win against Man City. But the club was just so small-minded that they were like, nah, bun off top 4. We don't need top 4, we're going to go for, we just don't want Arsenal to win the league. It's like, top 4 could have been huge for them in the summer if they'd have got that. But the small club wanted to throw it away because the rivals could have won the title. Would have won the title if they'd beaten them in hindsight. But yeah, it stinks for Spurs right now, and I think they're going to struggle for the season. I think when I was doing my predictions, they've got 5 away games left and 3 home games. But their home games are against like tough teams who I think they'll struggle against. I think Spurs will struggle to pick up points. I think don't be surprised if you see Spurs finish around 15th to 13th. I think it's perfectly possible that happens for them, and that could be an issue for them in the summer in terms of the money bringing into the club. Unless, like I said in United in the earlier video, unless they can win that Europa League and get that Champions League money, that could be huge for teams nowadays, you know. Especially with how the payments are structured in the Champions League. I think Liverpool made nearly £100 million in the group stage from topping it, so that could be huge for them. But I don't see them doing it with the way they're playing. But enough about Spurs. I'll do that in a separate video because there's so many things to go into with them. Fulham, class, like fair play. They're doing it right over there. Obviously, they've got a lot of Arsenal players, so I'm always going to have a bit of bias towards them. But they feel like they're the club that's taken a lot of the rejects from the Prem and just turn their form, turn the players. Yeah, and I can only admire for them. Like Marco Silva, top manager. Obviously, he had his chance really at Everton, didn't really work out. Maybe it was too early in his career. I'd love to see him get another shot somewhere else, but he doesn't need to. At the same time, like Fulham is still a pretty big club, and he's found his last little niche there. You know, he's got them pushing for Europe, and there's every chance for them to make it. There's a little group between, I think it's 10th and 4th, where there's like 5 points between them, and there's every chance for them to put a little bit of a run together and secure European football, and that would be massive. And I think the last time they had it was in like 2000 and I'm gonna get this wrong, like 2009 or something. But that would be huge for Fulham, and I think they have every chance of doing it. You know, I really like their squad, their makeup. It's got Smith Rowe, Traore, Jimenez, Muniz coming off the bench every time. It feels like he's scoring now. So I think they've got every chance. I actually really like their team. Like Calvin Bassey at the back, solid. Anthony Robinson, I think, could be playing for any club in the Premier League. I think he starts for any single team in the Prem. I don't think that's an outrageous statement to say. I think the only one maybe doesn't start over is Kirkes. I think every other team he starts for, though, which is saying something, because that's Bournemouth, and then the second best left back in the league I'm saying is Anthony Robinson, and I think that's not an outrageous statement to make either. I think he would be perfect for someone like a Liverpool, or even like a Pep. Even Pep, I think he would take it, because he would be, I'll tell you who he would be for Pep. He would be the Kyle Walker replacement. So he would just shift the system and just have Anthony Robinson as the covering player instead of Walker, which is a massive compliment I'm giving him, you know. But he is just that good, and he has been performing at a consistent level now for a good couple of years. And I think they will keep hold of him because of the fact he's 28. I think he's peaked a bit too late for him to get a big move. But I think if he did get one to a top 6 side, I think he'd deserve it fully. It's just where he goes. If that was there, I think Liverpool's the only team really that would go in for him. But I've been seeing they're probably going to go for Kirkes. But like I said, Fulham, they hold on to him, and he'll do great things for them. You know, especially if they get into Europe. I think he has no reason to leave. So yeah, fair play to Fulham. You know, 2-0 against Spurs. And they're flying. I really like how the business they're doing. I like their squad makeup, like Andres Pereira as well, come off the bench a lot of games, but then he starts some. Yeah, I think the one that they've replaced is Paulinho with, I think, Lukic or Vukic. I can't remember his name exactly, but I remember I watched him play live against. When I watched Forest, and I thought, this guy's decent, like he's good. He has seamlessly replaced Paulinho, who was arguably one of the best DMs in the league. Well, definitely outside of the top 6 clubs, the best DM in the league, basically. So that's huge for them to be able to just seamlessly replace Paulinho with him, and then upgrade their midfielder like Smith Rowe and stuff. So yeah, big props to Fulham. I'm a massive fan of the club, and I hope they actually do go and secure some real sort of European football. So I think it'd be huge for them. And you know what? I give them a chance in that FA Cup as well. I think they can beat anyone on their day. They showed early in the season that they are capable of beating a Man City, even though they didn't quite get it over the line, and they lost 3-2 that day. They definitely deserve to win that game. So I'd love it for them to go and do it in the FA Cup. Them or like a Brighton or a Bournemouth. I think if Bournemouth knock out Man City in that FA Cup, it's literally perfect for football if that happens. You get either a new winner in the FA Cup or someone who doesn't win trophies, basically. But yeah, that's what's the Fulham. Next game I wanted to go on to was Man City against Brighton. So, again, one game which people are going to say, oh, you didn't do that. I put it on my bet. I had it in my as a Man City Brighton draw. I really like Brighton's form, and I really like how they've kind of taken that 7-0 on the chin from Forest and just gone, alright, we got to step it up now. Like it was just a wake up call. because they were kind of sleepwalking in through the season from like November onwards. Like they were good, but they were just drawing games here and there, having sloppy losses, and then Forest basically went, wake up. Like they just said, wake up now, and they've shook them awake, and they've been on fire since. Joao Pedro looks like he's found his rhythm again. Minter, he looks like an absolute steal for 30 mil, whatever, 35 mil. Considering the fact that he's like 20, they're going to have him for a few years. Probably end up making about 75 mil off him eventually. Like, he's going to be a steal. So, again, I really like how Brighton do their business. Ruter looks like a great player as well at 40 mil. And I think they've really found their rhythm now. Belieber, I'll be surprised if he's still playing for the next season, because he's a serious player. But I think people are a bit, to be fair, you can kind of go for it now, because Caicedo has come good for Chelsea. But originally, I think you had Caicedo and Bissouma kind of both. They were originally both flopping. And Bissouma's shown flashes here and there, but he's not come good for Spurs, you know. And I actually really liked Bissouma at Brighton. I thought he was a top player at Brighton. So many people might be a bit sceptical going for Belieber, but I do think he's a serious player. And he's like 20 as well. It's crazy how good he is. And I think Brighton have a decent chance of making, again, like Fulham, like decent chance of making a European spot. And it would surprise me in the future if they do continue to push that top six. Which for a club like Brighton is massive, you know. And I think they have every chance to. Again, I really like how they recruit. I like their squad makeup. They've got a good mix of players, and they've got a lot of youth in there. They're only going to get more experience, you know. Playing this FA Cup, playing in the Europa League last season, yeah. And if they can see another European spot, that's just more and more experience that they're going to gain. So, yeah, I really like their chances. And they did well against City again, you know. They did well at home against them, and they just did it. I don't think they're scared of them. They've taken 4 points off City this season, which is huge for Brighton and their ambitions. On the other hand, City, they've kind of just gone back to how they are now. I think this is just what you're going to get with City. One game they're going to go and win like 3-0 against Forest, and then they're going to go and drop points to Brighton. You know, they're just going to be inconsistent. This is how City will work this season. When I do my predictions, I was trying to figure it out. They're going to do well against the teams that are scared, that are still scared of them, are still not going to come out. So when they play against Leicester, when they play against, I don't know, an Ipswich, teams that will still sit in a little bit and don't quite have the quality, I think they'll do well against. I'm trying to think who else there is that kind of sits off a little bit. But like you saw against Forest, they beat Forest because Forest were happy to sit in. It doesn't always work against City. You can't sit in. If you press them this season, that you can get at them, which is something you couldn't say before with them. And like I said, they're going to be inconsistent now. They just want to get to the end of the season, basically. So they're going to fight for Europe. But the fact, if we see them getting it, it's another thing. Because I feel sorry for Kevin De Bruyne not getting minutes, really, because he's such a good player. But I think because Marmoush is there now, you're going to see his minutes very much limited, which is a shame, because he's a Premier League great and he deserves more. He deserves a better send-off than he's going to get. Yeah, he deserves a much better send-off than he gets, unfortunately. But 2-2 Brighton, you might not say it's a bad result, but you've got to think now that Brighton are going for Europe as well. So all those teams are going against each other for Europe. So it's going to make it really interesting when they go head to head, because there's so many of them. I know City have got to play Bournemouth on the second last game of the season, and I can't help but think that game might decide the top 5 or top 6 or whatever it is. Because I can see Bournemouth going there and getting a result as well. It would not shock me at all. because Bournemouth played very similar to Brighton in terms of their high intensity, pacey wingers, and just I think City are for a tough little end to the season here, and if they finish in the top 4, I think it'll be a massive achievement for Pep. I don't think they will finish in the top 4, but like I said, they've still got the players to. It's just a case of whether they can perform at the consistent basis that we know they have before. I don't think they will, but that's me anyway. Anyway, 2-2 between them two was a great point for Brighton, really, and it might end up being a good point for City. Time will tell. Next, we'll go on to, or touch on the Everton game. What a job David Moyes is doing. He's instilled some sort of belief in that team where they just don't think they're going to get beaten. And I know I'm raving on about a 1-1 draw against West Ham at home, but it's another late goal to equalise. I think that's 2 games in a row now they've done that, and he's instilling some sort of like a belief in themselves, which hasn't been felt with Everton. They've kind of just laboured through seasons, got over the line, and it's just showing you what Sean Dyche couldn't do. Basically, I actually don't mind Sean Dyche as a manager. You know, I think he does a decent job, and he does what says in the box. Like, if you want him to come in, stabilise the ship, save you from relegation, keep you in the Premier League, he'll do that. But he's not. I know he took Burnley to Europe at one point, but he can't do that nowadays. I don't think. I just don't see him having a mid-table team in the Premier League anymore. Like I said, I actually do like him, but I just don't see it happening. And I think Moyes is highlighting that fact. I thought Moyes was really unfortunate to actually lose his job at West Ham. I didn't understand why they did it. I understood what they were trying to do, but the grass isn't always green on the other side. That's becoming a very common thing with managers nowadays. Just because you sack someone doesn't mean it's green on the other side. You're seeing a bit with Enzo now after Poch. Everyone thought, oh yeah, it's so much better. Nah. Obviously they had it last time with Moyes, where they got rid of him, and then a year and a half later he was back in the job because they got Pellegrini and wanted to play this expansive football. And I'm not gonna lie, as soon as Lopetegui went in, I was pretty convinced he was gonna be the first manager sacked. I don't know if he was quite the first manager sacked, but I was very convinced that he wouldn't work, because he's not this progressive coach that West Ham maybe thought he was coming into it. He's just another version of David Moyes with less experience in the Premier League, and he doesn't know the squad. And then they spent a lot of money, so then they had pressure on him as well. So yeah, I just think Moyes is doing a cracking job at Everton, and he's brought players like, even just like Jake O'Brien, who wasn't even getting a look in under Sean Dyche. He brought him in, and he looks like a quality player for them. So I think I feel like no one really wants to play Everton now. I know when I look at our fixture, we're playing them away from home in a couple game weeks time. Not next game, the game after. I think we got them, and I'm not looking forward to that game. I don't want to go to Goodison. I don't like Goodison the best. When Sean Dyche went in there, when we were going for that title, I didn't want to go there. I definitely don't want to go there now with Moyes being there. They just seem like a real pain in the arse to try and play. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know they've got to play City as well. They've got Liverpool next. I feel like these teams just don't want to play them, because even if they've got like Ndiaye out injured, and they're still pulling out results when they've got like Jack Harrison playing, and Beto somehow found some form. He's working these players, and he's getting the best out of them. He's squeezing every ounce of this out of this team, I feel like. I think I got a bit carried away when I was doing my predictor originally, and I had them a bit higher than I should have had, because I do forget they do draw quite a few games now, but I'm pretty sure they still haven't lost in the Prem under Moyes, and he's making them very hard to beat And if they can continue getting late goals, they've got every chance of pushing up this league table and push more towards mid-table. I do think they'll come above Man United and Spurs. I don't think that's a massive statement to say, but I could definitely see it happening. And then for West Ham, disappointing week really in hindsight for them. Obviously lost to Newcastle at home in a pretty even game, probably shouldn't have lost really, and then dropped points to Everton after winning, after being in a win position, and it just feels a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit stale for Potter at West Ham. Like I said, I like the appointment, but it hasn't had that manager bounce of like, oh yeah, cool, we got like a proper manager in now. He's kind of just like bobbed along a little bit, and it's not, maybe he's just waiting to get his players in. I know he's brought Evan Ferguson in, but he can't really do that much right now with the players he's got. He needs to get Paqueta. He got Paqueta playing, sorry, in like a false nine in some games, which also could be taken away from him very soon with this lifetime ban pending for Paqueta. So he is trying to do some stuff and finding some new systems for them. Obviously, having both their number 9s out injured right now is not ideal for them. Sorry guys, 1 second. Let me just turn this corner. Sorry guys, driving through London on Monday night is not always ideal. Yeah, it just feels like he needs to get to summer with Potter. Obviously they spent a lot of money last summer, so I'm not sure how much they're going to have to spend this year. But I liked Wan-Bissaka as a signing. I didn't mind some of their signings, like Somerville I think is a good investment for the future. You look at like Bowen coming from Hull in the Championship. There's every chance Somerville could do the same thing. He actually looks quite good whenever I see him play. And I think there's a chance that they maybe lose Kudus at some point. I'd be very surprised if Bowen ever leaves. I think he's found a nice home there. So, yeah, like I said, you just get into summer. Their season's done. They're not going to go down or anything. They're not going to push for Europe. They're just getting along. I think he's probably planning in his head who he wants to keep and who he wants to get rid of. I thought Ward-Prowse coming back was a very smart move. I thought he never should have gone out on loan in the first place. So he obviously knows what he's doing. He wants Ward-Prowse as the 6. And it wouldn't surprise me next season if you do see Potter push these guys further for a European spot. They might not get it, but I think you'll definitely see them around 9th, 10th, maybe 8th next season. And I think they'll back him in the summer as well. Lastly, I'll touch on the Bournemouth-Brentford game. Now, this game was actually a bit of a shock for me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought Bournemouth would win. I didn't really, to be honest, I probably didn't give Brentford enough credit, and I've seen they won 5 on the bounce down the Prem. So you know what, they're doing very well. I knew they were doing well, but they're doing even better than I thought they were doing. And they're actually pushing for. They've got an outside shot at those European spots, and they're in good form for it. You know, like if they can put a decent run together now, from now to the end of the season, there's every chance again that they could do that. And what a story that would be if Brentford could get European football, you know. Yeah, it'd be massive for them if they get European football. But even if they don't, to come top half in the Premier League for Brentford is massive. The one issue that you look for them is like how many players they're going to keep hold of. Obviously they're all good. They've got like Visser and Mbuemo. But how many of them can actually keep hold of there? And Damsgaard's playing well this season as well. Like they've got these. Thomas Frank's got them ticking there, and they're all singing from the same hymn sheet. And they pulled out a really good result against Bournemouth, because Bournemouth they've been very good this season. Don't get me wrong, and they've really overachieved. But now they're 10th, and you're like, what's happened? Like they've kind of tailed off. It feels like they got all the height, and then now it's started to like come back down a bit. And they were actually my underdogs to go try and go get top 4. Obviously, it's very close between them and the top 4. It's like it's only 5 points, but they can't lose at home to Brentford and expect to get top 4 or top 6. That's not how it works. So they're doing almost what Brighton did between December and February. Like, they're kind of just in a lull, not really picking up points that much, not really picking up too many points. They win the odd game and then they'll draw. So they need to step it up again. I think they will. I think you'll see another Bournemouth come out after the international break. I think a lot of teams this international break's come at a good time for. I think it's come at a bad time for someone like Brighton, but I think for Bournemouth it's actually come at a good time to reset. They'll keep a lot of their players in their squad as well, but yeah, I think you're going to have to see an improvement from them coming forwards. But it's going to be interesting after the international break. We're into the home stretch now. They've turned the corner and they're going through the finish line, some of these clubs, and it's been a bit of a letdown in some aspects this season in terms of the league title was done with 10 games to go, relegation is basically done with 10 games to go, and the real interesting thing is between 10th and 4th, you know, the teams pushing for those top spots, which actually is making it quite interesting in terms of it could literally be any of them 6 teams. And Forest still aren't completely out of the equation. You know, I know I haven't really mentioned them this time around after their 4-2 against Ipswich, because they kind of just keep churning out results and no one really notices. They slipped my mind until I just realised now that they played Ipswich and they won 4-2, and they're just moving along. They're just becoming more and more efficient, I think. I think they would have been disappointed to actually concede 2 goals against Ipswich. I think 2-0 up, even 3-0 up, they probably should have just shut up shop a bit more and not conceded the silly goals. But having said that, they have actually... Sorry, guys, one sec. Yeah, turns out they actually did get a good result. They played the game perfectly in the end. Like, they counter-attacked them. Ipswich was naive, flying forwards, committing men, and Forest sitting on the counter. And also congratulations to Gibbs White for getting an England squad. Palmer's obviously dropped out of injury, and Gibbs White fully deserves it. He fully deserves the call up, and hopefully he takes his chance, because he's been performing at the highest level for Forest this season. He's proven that price tag was right, whether it fell at 44 million, I think it was. Yeah, big result for Forest, and I can't see them dropping off. People keep saying, oh, they were going to fall away, they're going to fall away. It gives me Leicester vibes, like they're just going to keep going. It's not quite the same with Leicester in terms of the level that they're hitting in terms of the points and stuff, but they're hitting a high level of performance in these games, and teams don't want to play against Forest as well. Like, you just know it's going to be a horrible game to play, because you commit too many men forward, they'll hit you on the counter. You don't commit enough and you're not going to score a goal. So it's very much a game of cat and mouse for Forest, and fair play to them. It's nice to see the different teams winning games and progressing well in the Premier League this season. But yeah, I'm actually in football now, so thanks guys for joining me on my drive here. I hope you guys have a good evening or day wherever you're watching this. Yeah, thank you for all thank you for the support or whatever. And yeah, I will speak to you guys maybe after football, we'll see. Peace.